one of the best sessions for the last. Has AI changed media and content forever? And we have a powerful panel for this session. I would like to invite on stage Apurva Chamaria, Head of Startups and Venture Capital from Google India, Chair of the session, to please come on the stage and invite the other panelists. We also have Priyanka Gill, Group Co-founder, Good Glamm Group and CEO, Good Media Company. Can we invite you on the stage, Priyanka? Mohit Joshi, CEO, Havas Media Network India. Jani Pasha, co-founder and CEO, Lokal. Ranjeet Pratap Singh, co-founder and CEO, Pratilipi. We thank our platinum partner, Havas Media, for their support. Over to you, Apurva.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? Is anybody around? Hi? That sounds a little better. Hi? That sounds like hi, but we'll start. So, thank you for joining us. We have a very, very exciting topic which we are going to discuss. Has AI changed media and content forever? The answer is yes. We are hopefully going to discuss how has it changed media and content. We have some amazing panelists joining us. Priyanka Gill, Group Co-founder, Good Glamm Group and CEO, Good Media Company. Welcome, Priyanka. Mohit Joshi, CEO, Havas Media Network, India. Thank you, Mohit. Jani Pasha, Co-founder and CEO, Lokal. Welcome, Jani. Ranjeet Pratap Singh, Co-founder and CEO, Pratilipi. It's a very well-curated panel by Delhi-NCR because we have, content networks, media networks, local language, so representatives from all. Mohit, will start with you. What, in your view, has been the most significant change in content and media with the advent of AI?
The biggest change is that in an ideal scenario, you don't require humans. Well, it's hard, it's not the reality because you do, but things have changed to an extent where you have AI anchors who are reading news. So you have Midjourney, which is allowing you to create any and every creative using AI. And Priyanka was there at Goa Fest, which is one of our largest events of marketing and advertising, and this time the entire theme was AI, and the logo was, not the logo, but the entire theme creative was generated by AI. So to that extent, I think everything has changed, and we have to be aware that this change is there. We can't, be in an ostrich phenomena that, no, we still don't have that change there. But there are very different kind of implications. The change is there. Now we have to see how to live with that change and use that change to our advantage.
Ranjeet, you're next. Give me a real life example. What are you seeing? Like, what has fundamentally changed in this world? Content and media.
I think AI is very similar to what happened when internet first came along. So when internet came in, and I've said this multiple times before, that the biggest thing that internet did was that it made the cost of distribution very close to zero across almost everything. Not just in terms of money, but also in terms of time. How long does it take for a movie to be released and getting to you? As well as in terms of what skill set is required for making that delivery happen in the first place. What AI is doing, in my opinion, more than anything else, is that making production as easy as internet made for distribution. So production is now a lot faster, production is now a lot cheaper, and even people who are not really as qualified to produce are being able to produce thanks to AI. So in our own Pratilipi's case, for example, we have a product called Pratilipi Comics, which is about online serialized comicses. With pure human efforts, it would typically take about 8 days for people to create one chapter, which has about 60 panels. Today, it takes us about 6 hours to create the exact same chapter. And I think like this is what is happening with AI, that you can do the same things that you were able to do much faster, much cheaper, even without having the exact same or the same level of skill set that was earlier required.
Thank you. So Ranjeet's thesis is distribution change with internet, creation is changing with AI. So that still leaves monetization and the big idea. So Jani, over to you, same question.
So, as Ranjit rightly said that, distribution is, internet has made distribution easy. AI has made creation easy, absolutely right. And there is no field that is more impacted than content by AI so far. Disclaimer so far, because it's the easiest thing how ChatGPT has come where you actually create content and all the mid-journey, everything is happening in the content field. So the one skill that will be mattered, like it won't completely replace humans per se, there will be new roles that will be created and creativity will be valued a lot more than before, than the manual work that used to take. A lot of time it used to happen for creating content in terms of script writing, in terms of video editing, in terms of shooting. A lot of that is going to go away, and the most valuable skill is going to be creativity. Yeah.
Very nice. Priyanka, would love to get your thesis on what is the big change you're seeing with Gen AI coming in.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that ChatGPT did, this technology has been around forever. Rajan said in the morning that Google is also leveraging AI. Generation AI is a different thing. I wanted to ask this room, how many of us used to go to a library? A bunch of us did, right? If there are any journalists in the room, your previous generation would go to the library to research before they met someone to interview. So and that was research, and that was the normal way that journalism happened. And then Google came, right? And since then, we don't need to go to the library, and it's such a natural thing that we all do. It's a way of life. It's a technology that we've adopted, and it does not threaten us anymore. Now, ChatGPT is a user-friendly wrapper on a piece of technology that has been around for a while. Of course, it's been supercharged by the number of instances in there. It's just that it made it really easy. You can write something in a prompt box, and it'll do something for you, right? So the biggest change to your question is that it's basically a mental leap that we have to take and not be threatened by it, right? Imagine that a task has to be done. Two people have to do the same task. Both of them have access to a generation AI. They have ChatGPT. How I write the prompt, and that's the point about creativity that was made, how I write the prompt and how someone else writes the prompt depends on our skills, our inputs, our experiences. So it's not that AI, generation AI will replace humans. It's a multiplier, it's an enabler. Your skills, your prompting, your creativity, the inputs are going to still be required, right? It's not a system that is an inputless system. So I am very excited about the potentiality of what we are doing. If I wanted to write an article in English and get that translated into 100 languages, I can get that done with a click now. And that was one of the startups that were featured on TIE yesterday. There's so much more that we can do. And I just feel that as content creators, it's like a wild, the Wild West has been opened up again. And great businesses, great entrepreneurs are going to be built on the back of this, especially in the world of digital media and content. So super excited about it.
Thank you, Priyanka. So Wild West and Gold Rush go hand in hand. So hopefully this brings a gold rush to all the content companies. Ranjeet, traditionally, index of vernacular languages have been underrepresented in media. And I know you're doing fantastic work, Jani is doing fantastic work, but by and large, advertising, TV, it's been underrepresented. How do you see AI changing it? You've successfully been employing AI and driving personalized content. You gave an example of the comic book creating. Do you think AI will make vernacular content more discoverable, wider spread, and lead to a generation of readers, viewers who love reading in vernacular and index?
I think it's a slightly more nuanced question to answer. So ecosystem comes up when all sites have enough liquidity there. So for a long, long time, the big barrier for Indian language users to come onto internet was that there was simply not enough content. Similarly, for example, one reason why there wasn't enough content was because that content could not be monetized well enough. Advertising CPMs were low, direct charging was very difficult because very few people in India had access to credit cards or debit cards. So some of those things are solved by technology. So for example, what UPI did was that it enabled people to pay small amounts, and a lot of us founders have benefited from that. Similarly, what AI will do is that some content that is currently there in one language, which could be English or Hindi or Tamil or German, it would become cheaper and better to translate that into Indian languages. So it will kind of short circuit that supply problem a little bit. But it's not like an ecosystem doesn't come across just because one part of the equation is solved. We'll still need to work together on making hardware cheaper, for example, making data cheaper, making it even more seamless to pay for content in a different formats. So I think it will definitely help significantly simply because translation will get better. Right now it's crap, by the way, just to be clear. But it will get better at some point. And when it does, it will help, but we will require a lot more as well.
Thank you. I think from translation, we need to get to transliteration. That's the next level where the context carries on with the translation. Jani, you know, Lokal has been dedicated to providing hyperlocal content and information to users. With AI's potential to process vast amount of information, articles, content, how do you think Lokal's approach to delivering local content might evolve while maintaining its community-oriented essence? Also, there is a Priyanka alluded to the fact that there is a balance between human curation, the human ingenuity, creativity, and algorithmic selection. How are you thinking about it when you think about Lokal?
So I think I'll add one more on top of that. So it generally for us also, like a lot of our creators from these small towns and tier 2 cities and towns, when they create content, it's still very difficult for them to create content in their native languages. The keyboards are not built very sleekly. It's not a habit for them over the last 10, 15 years, like how it's been for us, right, to type in English. So the creation, one hack we tried to do to a lot of extent is to use voice to text to an extent, and on top of it, a creator layer. Essentially, they can edit what is being created because it's not perfect 100% today as well. But what we have done after this LLMs is, as Ranjeet said, it's not perfect yet, but it's still better. What we have done today is that the voice to text input, we have tweaked using the base LLM model that we could find. And today, the creation time for a creator in native language on our platform has reduced significantly. So these are the minute changes, but it matters a lot. So any creator who wants to create, it's a task, right? Like for me, if I have to travel to meet a friend in a 5-minute distance is easier, but to meet someone in 30-minute distance is very difficult, right? The same time, as the creation becomes easier, more creators will start creating, and that is what we are able to see in our initial tests that happened on our platform. And fundamentally, a lot is also being changed, the way we moderate our content. So we, as a platform, delivers hyperlocal updates at a location level, community created, community moderated to a large extent. Algorithmic moderation, the reliance on algorithmic moderation will increase, but for us, fundamentally, where trust is very important, we don't think human moderation is going to be taken care of. The bandwidth that is required will reduce. And similarly, on the algorithmic front, on the content recommendation, that is that because it's personalized to a person, it will largely remain algorithmic with human input of whether it is relevant for that user or not right now. And one more part that we could see a lot of change is essentially on the personalization front. So essentially, what we have seen with all the ChatGPT or AI applications is you can make a conversation. It's not, like Google is very non-intuitive, right? If you ask a question, it sends some ऊपर से कुछ text दिखा देगा आपको and then says this is from this article. But when you talk to ChatGPT
or Bard.
It's easy, right? It's I'm sorry?
Or Bard.
Yeah, or Bard or any other tool. So essentially, the personalization and the context holding has seen, at least in the studies that we are doing early with some experiments of content, we have seen users liking it a lot more. Because it's like very easy, right? I make a conversation rather than a search in this audience. So those are the changes that we can see currently. Yeah.
Excellent. Mohit, ever since, so I started in advertising with one of your competitors many years ago. The holy grail has been a segment of one. So personalized advertising. Every user, unique content, contextual content leading to higher conversions. How do you think AI is changing this? Do you think advertising is going to become even more targeted, even more localized, with mini content, which is just one piece of content which is only for you?
That's what has already started anyways, mass customization as we call it. Yeah, you can today customize an ad to a particular person the way it is, and it has been done at mass scale. The Cadbury's ad that where Shah Rukh Khan was morphed and was advertising for the local shops was a phenomenal, I would say, example of AI at work. See, it's already happening. I don't see it getting even more intense because, finally, end of the day, what is is going to be more important is to get the right data from the consumer and give him or her the right communication. We already have enough data. Today, we already have enough data and we are delivering communication basis that data. I think it's time now to see how we can create a story out of that data and give a meaningful communication to the consumer back, right? At times what happens is we get lost in this myriad of data and try to hyper localize without realizing the impact of it. It has to be meaningful end of the day. So the Shah Rukh Khan ad was meaningful because it brought a lot of value to each one of them. Definitely AI will allow you to slice and dice the data even more, right? Not that it was not happening. It will allow you to do it even more. But I don't see any more personalization happening between whatever is already happening. We're already getting personalized ads and what more will happen. The context of the ads, maybe tomorrow there is a way of understanding the mood of the person, which is using the iris, studying your iris, whether the person is happy or sad, and maybe giving an ad basis that. That could be the next level of hyper customization that could happen. But in terms of slicing and dicing the consumers, it's already happening, and we are doing it enough.
So I'll ask you an addition question more out of curiosity. This is largely happening on digital. Do you see, like we talk about embedded finance today, do you think we will have embedded advertising where you will have a chip on a radio or TV will become smarter? We've been talking about smart TV for ages, but all the smart TV means today is
Connected TV.
Connected TV.
So what you're talking about is programmatic, right? Essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, it's the technology exists, right? Today, anything which is audiovisual can be delivered programmatically. There are technologies which are delivering programmatic out of home. So, in certain countries, depending on the weather, you'll get the ad, whether the ad changes. So if it's a rainy weather, you'll see a person with an umbrella. If it's a hot weather, you'll see a person wearing, shorts. So that's already happening. And the intensity of it will keep getting more and more fine-tuned. That's what AI will do.
No, yeah, and also depends on how much data we are willing to give up. For you to put a chip on my TV or my laptop, I have to be okay with you doing that, right? So that will also make a big difference. I mean, he'd love to do all of it. He'd like to literally kind of have access to my phone, my laptop, my phone, everything, right?
I'm anyway doing that. I as in, all the apps that you download, you say, I agree. Have you ever read what you agree? You never. Nobody has.
No comments. Priyanka, good media company has a very strong focus on positive, inspiring content. And it's a very unique position to occupy in the content sphere. While AI is creating more content, faster content, better content, Ranjeet very eloquently put it, even people who possibly have not the best content creators are creating content. It's democratizing it. This also leads to concerns about misinformation, deep fakes. Just as a leader in the content space, what's your thought around, does it need self-regulation? Do AI creatives need to be stamped? Yeah.
So listen, misinformation, fake news, alternate truths, all of that has played out at a global stage already, right? So, of course, it becomes a lot scarier now that technology is kind of increasing at the pace that it is. These are mega corporations, multinationals, whose GDP is larger than companies, whose impact is larger than companies. And of course, there's going to be regulation that's going to come in and begin to kind of have those difficult conversations. And that's how it has to happen, right? So of course, it's a thing of concern that we have. Now, coming to what we do at Good Media Co., of course, it's all positive content. We are a lifestyle media company across Pop Exo, Scoop Whoop, Miss Malini's, Bollywood Gossip. Tweak is kind of really inspirational content for women out there, right? Pop Exo is for the young teens, and Scoop Whoop is kind of a really big youth channel. So positive, relatable, engaging content is where we kind of come at it. But to your point about that everyone is a content creator, we are all already content creators, right? If you are on social media, you are a content creator. Instagram works so well because it made kind of creating pretty graphics a lot easier, right? So all these tools are anyway being given to all of us. Now the point is that the base level of work that a lot of us have to have a lot of kind of folks doing, a lot of that gets automated, but it still leaves that idea. You need a writer or an author to come up with a spark that's going to kind of power his next TV series that he's launching, right? So you're still going to need that human element coming in. I really feel that we will upskill ourselves, we will upskill our teams to be even better idea generators, creative people, and that's going to be hugely valued now. Right? A lot of the base kind of tasks will get taken care of. If I want to write an article and get that kind of across everywhere in different languages, different moods, easy, done. Tech will do that. But that article idea still has to be there.
So the question is, does the industry have a role to play in either watermarking AI, creating algorithms which flag it? Like today, content creators hopefully will need to soon start flagging that this is a promoted content and not organic.
That's the law, by the way. If it's a sponsored content, you have to kind of call it as such.
Enforceability.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think all of you here need to sometime get together and take the lead before this becomes a law on calling it out as AI-created content, AI-created video,
I'll give you my personal view on this. I think business behaves when it is required to, and it is in our financial interest to do so, right? So that is the best way to get mass adoption of any policy or change that's out there. So the moment it becomes a financial imperative for us to kind of take a step, that's when corporates will basically react, right? At a policy level, I think the government needs to kind of take that first step. That's my mentality. Obviously, it's my personal view on this one.
Any disagreements? Anybody? Yeah.
I would say we are severely underestimating just how powerful AI today is. AI is not just ChatGPT or Bard. That's like literally a tip of the iceberg. So first of all, the unsupervised machine learning models mean that we don't necessarily know exactly. And secondarily, we are severely underestimating what AI agents can do, where the input itself is something that AI is generated. And that brings me to regulation. Like, how do you regulate something that you do not understand? What I am doing both as a person and as a founder is reading up more on it, trying to learn more about it before I can form a meaningful opinion. Like, this is basically saying, talking about internet, for example, in 1980s. Like, we simply don't know enough. It's impossibly hard to say what the best policy is. And you cannot just say that ban AI, because that's not how new technologies work. So honestly, I at least don't have an opinion on it right now.
Jani?
But I think it's interesting, like Apurva. So basically, today we use Adobe Photoshop to create an image. Do we write Adobe created by Adobe Photoshop? No, right? So it's a very
you modify it, you don't create.
So you do
creative graphics.
Creative graphics. So creatives that you can create using Illustrator. हाँ, pen and paper से भी आप बना लेंगे. Created by pen and paper. we don't do that, right? So I don't think that is the right way of regulation. There definitely will be a guidelines that will be created by government and also by the large companies, but we can't predict that right now. So essentially, every technology, new technology is scary. Even with internet came in, you had this on, when e-commerce came in, there is this lot of online fraud, your credit card numbers can be stolen. When social media companies came, it's about fake news and all. It's still a problem that a lot of companies are trying to solve for them. AI also, I think, I don't agree with Ranjit. We will all be able to regulate to an extent, best way possible, yeah.
Excellent. That leads me to the next question. Who owns the IP when you're creating using AI? Because AI has been trained by other works. I was talking to a founder in US, and he's doing something very interesting. He's trying to disrupt Sony Pictures and Warner Brothers. And he's saying, like, when you create a hero character, there are 7 types of heroes. That's what they teach you in screenwriting. He's trained his LLM on everything, all the best movies, and he's saying we'll create movies using amazing heroes. They'll never have a bad day, bad hair day or otherwise. They'll live forever. We'll monetize them. And the founder is not very popular in Hollywood, obviously. Do you think founders in India are now taking such steps? I know some, like one of my portfolio company now has a plethora of AI creators, like the Lara Croft's example, right? Are you seeing a lot of that where clients are now saying, hey, I'm always worried with a celeb, Mohit, that celeb might do something wrong which is against brand, and offer me some AI creators?
So, anyway, there's a lot of pressure on the celebs when it comes to their endorsements. And, the way it used to happen 10 years back when they hardly used to read between the lines. Today, they are checking each and every clause and before they sign the contract. I am told about this Shah Rukh Khan ad. It took probably 2 months for the whole contract to happen. For his lawyers to ensure that there was no loophole and that deepfake could not be used for anything wrong. So, I really don't know. As others are also saying, how will it change? I'm imagining here that we are sitting in a cinema hall. There's a movie that's going on, right? Each one of us has a VR. And each one of us is seeing a different movie, a different way in which the movie is moving. So when I come out of that theater, I have a different perception of the movie than she has, because the AI has basis my whatever facial recognitions and the way I have reacted to certain situations has changed the direction of the movie for me. So if I'm if I don't have a strong heart, maybe they'll not show me a scene where somebody is dying. So it can be taken to any level, and
if you modify the movie and make it a small case of movies, you can monetize it because it's your version of the movie.
But to your point, right? You're paying for the celebrity of the star. You're paying for the reach of the star. Unless you have AI-generated
Similar reach, yeah.
characters that have a sim, then of course it's a fair proxy, right? But I mean, to that point, it's not going to happen. There was this ad that came out, I forget the brand, it was a print ad that was completely AI-generated. So I think the risk is not at the celebrity level, but the risk is going to be at kind of the generic kind of model level. So would you be willing to pay X amount for a stock image to, if you want to kind of, and with usage rights, or do you just want to kind of auto-generate through AI, a girl looking happy, walking on a beach, Indian girl with black hair, whatever attributes you want. And those are really easy to create right now, right? And your question was who owns, who would own that image? Now, that's a really good question because so many different instances of data owned by all of us here have gone into creating that image. Yeah. Eyes are coming from somewhere, the lips are coming from somewhere, the hair is coming from somewhere else. But when you think about it, that's literally no different from a search engine result, right? So at that point, we're not really kind of saying that every time Google uses a micro kind of a segment of my data to produce this result, they are making so much money, you give me that money as well. So of course, we have not taken social media. Like Facebook is based, we are like a giant click farm for Facebook and Instagram. But we are not getting paid by, they are making lots of money, but we as users are not getting paid either for our time or for a single click. They make money off it. So those are really large industry-wide questions. They have always existed in the industry. Of course, now with AI, generative AI, it's becoming a lot more interesting to talk about it, but it's always been the case. It's not something that's brand new right now.
So I'm assuming all the people sitting in the room are either founders, entrepreneurs deciding to build content and media and create a lot of competition for these guys here, or your investors looking at investing in content and media. Everybody we speak to this panel here, everybody is thinking, where should I start my AI journey? If we have to leave them with one or two thoughts, like, hey, go back, start here. Mohit, what should it be?
See, again, I will say it should be meaningful content that is created by AI. You know, finally, it's the content that is connecting with the consumer, right? And unless that content is meaningful and connecting with the consumer, it makes no sense. So we have to ensure that the AI creates a content that is meaningful, more meaningful than the content that was being created by humans.
So first tip, go back and use AI to create meaningful content which connects in a more meaningful way with users. Okay. Priyanka, what should they do?
I would say that just go have fun, play with it, understand the use cases, pick some of the brightest kind of folks, pick as many people as you can afford in a company, send them on courses, train them up, read, experiment. You don't even know the use cases that exist and how you can better your entire process, right? So right now, I think it's a moment we're on the precipice of something unimaginably fantastic and amazing that's going to happen. We are like what Ranjeet said, many steps behind. We ourselves don't know where we are. But the only thing is educate yourself, experiment with it, play with it, and don't be scared of it.
Priyanka's advice, have fun, experiment, learn. Great advice. Jani?
So, yes, rightly Priyanka said that no one knows what's going to happen. So we are all trying to guess and do the guesswork. So, but essentially, whoever spends a lot of time, and unfortunately, all these established companies here won't be able to spend a lot of time on it, would have a natural advantage because it's extremely new and it is changing, and it is changing at a very fast pace. So I spoke with India Mart CEO and I told him, because of my limited experience of how I am using LLMs to tell that the translation and transliteration and summarization is bad. He challenged me to tell that, no, you have to train, you should have a proper prompt engineer. So we tried to work on in a week's time and we saw significantly better results. So
Dinesh has a great thesis on the models he's building with the ensemble and...
Yes, so Dinesh challenged me and then it made us work more on it. So yeah, I think the way you should look at it is to really understand the fundamentals of how it works, what does it mean, how you can build on top of it, and the more time you spend on it, the natural advantage you will have. Thank you.
Should they be spending like 30% of their time on it? More?
If they want to build on it, they should spend all of their time potentially. If it's of interest for them, absolutely.
I was at this conference in New York when Nikesh Arora, who runs Palo Alto Networks, he said that he's making it compulsory for his team to spend 50% of their time on it. Wow. Across the company, bar none, right? So it really depends on how seriously you're looking at it. And as you said, all our challenger companies are going to come out of people who actually are spending 100% of the time on it. So
how many are spending 50% of time on AI? Quick show of hands. 50%? Just one, two, three? Okay, 25% of your time on AI. 3, 4, 10% of time on AI, how many? Glad at least you're doing 10.
Yes, all at 10 right
now. All are at 10.
10 is very relative though.
Yeah. Ranjeet, one advice, and I know it's hard because 3 of them have covered a lot, so no pressure.
I would say the first would be that because the future is often uncertain, the best thing you can do is go and read the past. Like what happened the last time new groundbreaking technologies came up? Like how did the world change when fire was developed or internet was developed or industrial revolution came up? I think that's generally a good indicator of how things might change. Like you wouldn't know, but at least it gives you a good sense of how the world might change. The second is learn from the best. Go on Twitter, find out the people who are doing the cutting edge work, follow them, learn alongside. I think probably these two.
Thank you so much. Great panel. Loved it. Really appreciate the audience listening in patiently. Some questions, yeah? Can we get a microphone there? One question. He raised his arm really fast, so can't say no.
Hi. So, like generative AI is all about content, okay? So when you talk about content marketing or digital marketing companies, do you think they will phase out in the future, or the jobs of content writers will go away? Like, what's your take on that?
I think prompt engineering will become one of the top skills that content writers will now begin. I can write the best prompt for you is going to be a kind of a line in all the CVs very soon, right? So I personally, I mean, again, Ranjeet might be right that we aren't even able to imagine the power and the impact that AI is going to have. But as on today, with the information that I know and I can believe in, I believe that the job description will change and content writers will not completely go away, but their job is definitely no longer the same, right? And that's, I think, the first thing that I told my team, that and they all were very scared, by the way, right? And I remember I was on a call, I was trying to convince them, and on the call, I was just created like 10 articles, how to find a foundation for your skin shade, like baate karte karte, I just showed them how easily you can create content out there. And then of course you go in there as an editor at that point and make that content better and relate that to the platform or the brand that you're writing for. So I think the job description has completely already changed, by the way. It's no longer the same. And the more you can train yourself up in it, and the more you can show proficiency in the new world, I think you're going to get hired a lot sooner. So your question is whether the jobs go away. I believe they don't. I think they change. And whoever can change along with it faster is going to kind of get the advantage.
I'll just add one thing to it, you know. I don't think Thanda matlab Coca-Cola, or for that matter, you know, kuch khas hai, kuch baat hai of Cadbury's can be created by generative AI unless we give them the right inputs. So our inputs will always be required, and that's why probably the relevance and the kind of people would change, but directions will always be there.
Great. With that, we'll close the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for such a fantastic session and great insights into the brains of AI. We would like you to stay back on stage. We want to share a quick token of appreciation. Thanks to our speaker gift partners, Lenskart, the Good Glamm Group, Sirona Hygiene, and Yukta Media for these wonderful speaker gifts. It looks like Priyanka is going to get her own company's gift back in her hands. Can we have a quick round of applause for the speakers, please? Thank you.